Welcome back to another set of Lightning reviews. This is a follow-up to my 5-star Lightning review video. So today we're going to do all the 4-star heroes in the game. Now I am going to rate all of them. There was some controversy in my last video. Remember, I could be wrong about some of these, and they're just my ratings, so don't get too worked up over it. If you're using the hero effectively, that's all that matters, you know? Maybe I'm just an idiot. But these are my opinions on these heroes as a fairly high level player. So let's take a look at each of these. And there is one caveat. As I scan through these heroes, I realized that some of them, I literally don't even know what their abilities are. So for those heroes, I'm just going to say I have no idea what they do, 1 out of 10. Because my assumption is that if in my thousands of arena matches and RTA matches, I've literally not seen them once, my assumption is because they're not very good at anything. Because most of these 4-star heroes do show up every once in a while, because they're pretty decent. So if I don't see them at all, my assumption is they're trash, but I could be wrong about that, so feel free to disagree with me. With that little caveat out of the way, let's get started. Rose, very, very good hero. Her main weakness is that she's very, very slow, 97 base speed, but she does have a speed exclusive equipment that kind of helps with that. And that's good because if she was fast, she'd be busted because her S3 is probably one of the best initiating S3s in the game. Increase attack and a 25% CR push in one kit to all allies. So the crazy people that can actually gear this up to be like 280 speed, like this is a crazy initiator because she gives everyone a CR bump and an attack buff. Just for that alone, she's an 8 out of 10, and as it turns out, her S2 is pretty damn annoying and good too, and her S1 is okay, but her S2 and S3, very solid, 8 out of 10. Silk, I don't really see her in anything anymore. She used to be popular back in the day, but nowadays she's pretty much worthless. I gotta give this a 1 out of 10. I don't see any reason why anyone would use this. Mercedes, everyone knows how to use Mercedes because when you start the game, you use her. Also, really no reason to use her for anything. If you're a super new player, her multipliers actually aren't that bad and her S3 hits decently hard. But honestly, I can't imagine investing in her. 1 out of 10. Green Armin. Some people actually really like this hero. I don't have that much experience with her. Some people really, really like her for Guild Wars. Guild Wars offense specifically. Her kit is actually pretty decent and pretty annoying. You can really grind down teams with this hero. And obviously it's a knight, can carry Aureus Adamant. So I'm going to give this like a 6 out of 10. Definitely strong in certain respects, but not something I think is really mandatory for anyone. Zerato, this is one of those heroes I talked about before where I said I barely know what they do, and I've literally seen no one use them. Just scanning their kit, it seems like a garbage Araminta, and he's really blue, and it hurts my damn eyes, so 1 out of 10 just for that. Karen used to be the queen of Wyvern, and she's still really good at Wyvern, actually. Still pretty solid in like one-shot Wyvern teams. If you could tune it where she actually does the S2 into S3 combo, she can do some serious damage. So PvP, largely useless unless you're starting a new account and you have your best gear on Karen. You can use her for a little bit because she'll have your best gear. Other than that, can't really imagine using her. So I'm going to give her a solid 5 out of 10 overall, but really that's a balance of being like a 8, 9 out of 10 for Wyvern and like bad in everything else. But don't have to feel too bad about investing in her. Corvus used to be an absolute terrorist pre-nerf. This guy was a huge asshole. I remember being infuriated anytime he would 1v4 my entire team, and believe me, I got 1v4'd by this guy multiple times. This guy used to be super busted, a stupid, easy to get 4-star that was better than most of the ML5s in the game. But since his nerf, I haven't seen him at all, so I'm assuming he's not very good anymore. I've literally not seen him once in like the past 4 months. So I'm going to give him like a 3 out of 10. I mean, I could be wrong about that. I'm just basing this off the fact that he doesn't exist anymore, but the old Corvus was an easy 600 out of 10. Cartusia, I also have no idea what this guy does, so I'm going to withhold judgment on him. Actually, I'm lying. I'm not going to withhold judgment on him. 1 out of 10, but I could be wrong because I don't know what he does. Sid, amazing hero. He has a 10 speed imprint, which is always solid, and this guy hits really, really hard, especially if you run him with Sinful Angie and you give him the speed and attack buff. There's some guy who really loves Sid. I think it's Astronox, and he has a really strong Sid. Like, I've seen Sid's one-shot my Crow through Adamant. So Sid hits really hard, and he's actually an incredibly fast hero as well, 126. Usually pairs well with Sinful Angie, and also if you look at his shoulder here, he's got a squirrel there. So really I'd give him like an 8 out of 10, but look at this guy. Look at that guy. 10 out of 10, easy. Acades, really good hero, really good hero. I'd say her strongest content is GVG, but she does pop up in RTA every once in a while as well. Regular arena on offense, some people use her with like D-Corvus, like tank buster teams. So very solid. Her S3 is great, solid healing plus a full cleanse for your team. Her S2 gives invincibility, and she can basically cycle this over and over. You might have ran into this in RTA where they keep S3ing, S2ing, S3ing, S2ing over and over. Very annoying, very good hero. I think she deserves a solid 8 out of 10. Shuri, other than CR meme comps, not really that useful in PvP, except with one small exception. He has the best speed imprint in the game along with Surin. So just for that alone, he sees a lot of use in offensive PvP because you want that speed imprint to make sure you're going faster than enemy Basars and stuff. His S3 actually does hit pretty hard. I did run into a Shuri where they had like Portrait or something and hit me for a pretty decent amount of damage, but nothing too insane. But with the speed imprint and CR meme comes, like, I think he's a solid, I'll give him a 7 out of 10, but really most of his use is just the fact that he exists with this speed imprint. Dingo, I saw him, I think I fought a legend player using this once, but this guy didn't really seem to do anything. He just kept like dispelling the team. I'll withhold judgment, but I think he's probably ass. Clarissa used to be really good, used to be like a top tier dog walker. She's kind of outdated at this point and fairly useless for PvP. So if you want to use her as a dog walker still because you're a new player or something, it's fine. Go ahead and build her. I wouldn't invest molas into her though. I'll give her like a 4 out of 10. Leo, this guy is pretty ass. He's pretty good in hunt teams actually because one of his skills is a defense break. Yeah, this one. So it has a 100% defense break, so I see a lot of people use him on like one-shot hunt teams. And his S3 is kind of like a ghetto Araminta stun. It's 75%. But in general, I mean, people don't really use him that much for a reason. And I don't know what the hell is crawling around his back. That's not a squirrel, right? No, it's orange. So whatever, this guy's an asshole. We'll give him a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 ain't fair. He is good at hunt teams. 4 out of 10. Lots, not used that much, but you know he's really good in that one expedition, and also he does have the same thing as Oxlots, just no attack buff. So the most common use for Lots is really they'll pair up Oxlots Lots with Sirmia, so Oxlots will boost up Sirmia, she'll one-shot, Lots will boost up Sirmia again, she resets her S3, another one-shot. That comp, she's pretty popular. Without Sirmia, I don't really know why you would bring him. But in that comp, he is really strong. We'll give him like a 5 out of 10. You know, some of these heroes are hard because these 4-star heroes are like niche heroes where they really excel in one specific comp, but they're not really used outside of it. So that Oxlot Slot Sirmia comp is very popular, very strong, but because he's not really used in anything else, he only gets a 5 out of 10. Maya, I don't know what she does, so she's ass. Coley, Not only is she ass, but for whatever reason, I've pulled at least like 50 of her, and I hate her. 1 out of 10 for that, and I've literally never seen her in anything. Purgus, not really used anymore, but he actually used to be fairly common on arena defense because he has an AoE counterattack that hits pretty damn hard, and people would put him on Sigurd's Scythe, and he would just keep countering and healing to full. They didn't nerf him, so I don't really know why that got less popular, but at the time that was really annoying. I have gotten 1v4'd by Purgus before because it felt like he had a 100% counter rate. So I'm going to give him like a solid 6 out of 10. Honestly, I don't know why, because I don't think he got nerfed. I don't know why he's fallen out of the meta so completely, but I thought he was pretty scary back in the day. Crozet, people use him for as a Wyvern tank, like a no-healer Wyvern tank strategy. He's really good at that. And his kit is actually not really that bad at all. The real problem with Crozet is other knights are better. So like, you know, it's not so much that Crozet is bad, but it's like if you compare him to Lilius, Krau, FCC, are you really going to bring a Crozet over them? And most top players have those 3 knights I just mentioned, or even Adventure Roz. Adventure Roz outclasses this. So in PvP, there's really very rarely a situation to use him, but in Wyvern tanking, pretty solid. I'll give him a 4 out of 10. Dominiel, you know, she's not a very popular hero, but if you really want to make a stun comp, she's a budget Araminta, because her stun is 90%, which is pretty damn solid for basically an F2P hero. And her S2 is kind of funny because you might have seen some videos where people meme with Terranor, Royal Guard, and Reflect, and they'll use SS Acades and make him immortal. He just reflects everyone to death. So fun hero, not very commonly used. I'll give her like a 5 out of 10. If you want to meme with her S2, that's hilarious. And the S3, she is a very solid budget Araminta. What's her speed? Pretty fast too, so probably pretty niche hero, but still good. Cirilla, I don't know what she does. 1 out of 10. People are going to murder me for these 1 out of 10 ratings. Alright, Roman. I always wanted to build this guy. I think he's pretty good, but I very rarely see him. So his S3 is a full cleanse or debuff or whatever you want to call it. Removes their buffs. And then when the enemy is buffed, the damage dealt increases and they get poisoned. And it increases his own combat readiness. And I always thought this move was cool because it has a 50% chance to decrease their combat readiness by 15% 4 times. So if you're super lucky and they all 4 hit, it's a 60% CR pushback. And he's really not that fast, though. So he's even slower than Basar. So it's probably hard to build him fast, and it's probably wise not used that much. One day I might build him, and I really don't see him anywhere. But I think he would be a pretty annoying character to deal with, especially in terms of introducing randomness. But I guess I can't really give him any more than like a 4 out of 10. But I think I honestly do want to evaluate this hero one day once I have like good enough backup gear for him, or free unequip. Rin, some people love this hero. PvE, I think she's pretty powerful. I never personally used her, but I know PvE, a lot of people love her. And in high-level RTA, I don't know if she shows up very often, but I want to say I did verse a few high champion players that you know, like used her as a pocket pick. So I don't have that much information on her, to be honest. I don't run into her all that much, so she's probably not like a super meta top unit or anything. But I also don't really think she's bad in any way, so let's just go with a 5 out of 10, and I'll leave that to the experts who actually use this hero. Angelica. This used to be the character that everyone said you need to re-roll your account for. Nowadays, she's really not that important because back in the day, Amomo wasn't the thing. But with Amomo out, Amomo really outclasses Angelica in every way other than Wyvern tanking. Angelica is probably an easier Wyvern tank to gear, but I use Amomo as my Wyvern 13 tank and she works fine. The problem with her is the immunity is really great for clearing all the early game PvE content, but the problem is that in the end game PvE content, everything has you know, cleansing, so they'll remove the immunity, and Angelica herself doesn't have a cleanse. So once your immunity gets stripped, she kind of just can't help you anymore. But definitely not a bad hero. I'll give her a 5 out of 10. Early game PvE content, probably a 10 out of 10. Late game PvE content, probably like a 6 out of 10. We'll just make her a 5 out of 10. Surin, pretty useless hero, except for this. The 14 speed imprint, just like Shuri, so, you know, if you're worried about speed and you know it's a squishy defense, common thing to do is Oxlotch, Judge Kisei, Surin, Shuri, and just one-shot them. So just for her imprint, she has value, and it's kind of upsetting, right? Like, I'm going to give her a 6 out of 10, and literally that has nothing to do with her actual abilities, just her existence as an imprint. But she is used fairly regularly for that. Kawazu, I literally have no idea what he does and have never seen him. Kawana, literally have no idea what she does and have never seen her. 0 out of 10. Yep. Furious sucks ass in PvP, but in PvE, he's actually very, very, very strong in Wyvern 13. The crit chance buff lets you gear your DPS a little easier, has a defense break, and you can also use the defense break limited artifact or Song of Stars to help with Wyvern debuffing. It's a very strong hero actually in Wyvern 13, but everything else pretty crappy overall, so we'll give him like a... It's so hard to give these heroes ratings because he's really good at Wyvern 13, but so ass and everything else. Let's give him a 4 out of 10. But if you want a Wyvern, very solid choice, that hero. Kazuna AI, she's a Soul Weaver with an attack buff, so if you don't have DN and you want a Soul Weaver with an attack buff, she's actually not bad. I mean, she was free for everyone, so, you know, if you're a new player and don't have anything else, you can build her. Just don't expect her to use her in high-end PvP or anything. She's completely useless and outclassed there. But I'll give her like a 4 out of 10 again. I mean, Soul Weaver with attack buff, and it's a 3-turn attack buff. If you don't have DN, I mean, DN's way better than her, but if you don't have DN, decent budget option. Shadow Rose used to be pretty popular in PvP until, you know, it was realized that she's just too damn slow to be trusted as an initiator in PvP, and the pushback, you know, can be resisted, so it's kind of RNG-ish. But she still has a place in one-shot hunt teams. The way that works is usually she does S3 first, cleans up the mob wave, and then she starts off the boss with a defense break, a 100% defense break if it's not resisted. So for one-shot hunt teams, very solid hero for that purpose. Everything else, pretty bad. I'm just going to give her a 4 out of 10. So pretty much all the heroes, I think, that are really good at one specific thing but bad in everything else, I think a 4 out of 10 is a fair overall rating. Wander Silk, I don't know that much about her. I know she can lock down a single hero pretty hard, so I don't personally have her built. I think in Guild Wars offense, you can probably use her pretty powerfully to lock someone down. But, you know, the problem with these kind of lockdown heroes is you can just get resisted and it screws you. And she doesn't have a burn that ignores effect resist, so, you know, I don't feel like this is the safest option to ever bring. Same reason why I stopped using Silverblade Aramintha on offense. 85% of the time, it's fine, but that 15% will get you, and it's not worth losing like 1 out of every 7 matches because of a stupid resist. So, I don't really know enough about her, so I'll withhold judgment, whatever. Celestial Mercedes. So she's not bad. Her main problem is BBK and Judge Kisei are better, but her multipliers are actually good, and she can be used as a main cleaver. Hits really hard, and if she uses the Dizzy artifact, I think, she can actually do an S3 into S2 combo. Keep in mind it's not considered an extra turn, though, so you can't cut like an Arbiter with it. But if she was at the front and no one's reviving or anything, she can get 2 turns back-to-back for an S3 into S2 if you use that artifact. So if you don't have BBK or Judge Kisei, or like an early-ish game player and you really want to build a cleaver, not a bad option. Hits super hard, is a waifu. I'll give her a 5 out of 10. She's non-existent in high-end PvP though. C. Armin used to be the meta defensive unit. FCC has displaced her, especially with her nerf. She's still pretty good though, because the thing is she has a built-in adamant, so you can put Aureus on her and you get both Aureus and adamant into a single knight, and then you could bring 3 other heroes. That's the main advantage, and obviously invincibility is still really strong. So general purpose defensive unit, FCC outclasses C. Armin now. But, GVG offense, C. Armin is probably better than FC in certain cases. Like, if you're up against, like, Charles SSB or something, you could bring your own, like, Charles and ML Ken with C. Armin, a fast C. Armin, and pretty much neuter that team. So definitely still has uses. Invincibility is a strong thing, but, like, high-end RTA and stuff, not that common. But I think she still deserves a solid 7 out of 10. Shamzerato, you guys know what he does. Absolutely destroys any debuffer. Very strong counter / pocket pick. Has a defense break and decrease attack on his S3 and his self-defense. Like, he is just amazing. People were like messaging me saying, should I recall my Zerato because of the nerf? Most people didn't even realize it was a nerf. Like, a lot of people didn't even know that the S1 ignores effect resist. So honestly, before the nerf even happened, my Zerato had like 80 effectiveness anyway, because that's how my Abyss lifesteal gear rolled. So I don't even know why people were up in a tizzy. Like, yeah, you won't transfer debuffs to a 200 effect resist Ruel every once in a while, but those are not the things you were trying to transfer anyway. Still a god tier hero, 10 out of 10. BBK, quintessential cleaver if you don't have Judge Kisei, and in certain cases, even better than Judge Kisei, because Judge Kisei has 0 sustain. BBK, if you wipe out their DPS, she will not die to like their Knights and Soul Weavers, because her S1 heals her for so much, whereas Judge Kisei will get like whittled down. So still a very strong hero. Definitely a viable like late game cleaver. Solid 9 out of 10. A-Cart is, really not that good, but there is one purpose for him. Like, legend tier stall defense, what you want to do is make your defense as annoying as possible to beat and hit, and that's a role he excels at very well because of his stupid passive with the 15% evasion chance. The other option is you can also pair him with, like, evasion heroes like Ryolit or Mursa or something to make them evade even more, but that's kind of like a niche use. I'd say most often they're just trying to make it annoying for you to crack their defense. His S1's useless, his S3 is pretty good, but you need effectiveness then. So overall, I'll give him like a 6 out of 10 because he does have that important RNG element, but typically you're not going to use him on like Guild Wars offense. He's never picked an RTA. Really, arena defense is the main place you'll ever see him show up. Acid, I love Acid. Fantastic counter initiator, removes souls, very fast hero, 128. Hits really hard with his S3 if you have him geared well. I think at his job, he's a solid, I want to give him a solid 8 out of 10. But really, his role as a counter initiator, he's like a 10 out of 10, and everything else, he's kind of bad. But in a specific job, he excels. SS Acades, I don't have her. I really want this hero. She can revive, so that's a plus. The main thing about SS Acades is memeing people. There are multiple memes she could do. One is unkillable counter Yafine, unkillable SC Helga, or the most common ones are just 3-turn immortality ML Kens and Crayons. And those are really hilarious and annoying. So outside of those meme teams, she's really not, like, it's not that she's not good, it's just Diane and Ruel are better. But I think those meme teams are really fun and hilarious. And in RTA, it is a very big threat because if they pick both ML Ken, K-Ron, and SS Acades, if you don't get rid of SS Acades, you're probably going to have problems. So I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10. Some people think she's trash. I actually think she's okay. Guide or Aether, I don't know really what this does, and my eyes, so 1 out of 10. Watcher Shuri, Very strong hero. You know, we all love heroes with speed imprints, but on top of his speed imprint, he's actually useful. His S3, if he has attack buff and good gear, will one-shot anything in the game because it ignores the target's defense. Not a defense break, complete ignore. So very common count with him is like Oxlotch, Judge Kisei, Cdom, Watcher Shuri. They'll just use him to wipe out like the Ruel or whatever. Very strong comp, very strong hero. Solid 8 out of 10. Blaze Dingus. I think some people like this hero, but I think high-end PvP speaks for itself. So, you know, like if you're like Masters or Challengers tier, you could probably meme people by one-shotting them with the S2, because the S2 actually hits really hard. Blaze Dingo has pretty decent multipliers. Like, he does have one-shot kill potential against squishy teams, but in general, he's pretty ass. So I'm going to give him like a 4 out of 10 just because of the shock factor when he one-shot someone. But like, just people really like this hero for some reason. Like, they'll pull him, they'll be like, Dr. Score, should I build this? My strong recommendation is do not build this. Do not build this. You're going to regret putting the molas into this hero. Unless you want to troll people, he is hilarious when you kill people for Soul Weaver, but he is not a good hero overall. Kitty Clarissa is an interesting hero. She's actually a pretty, I don't want to say common, but a seen pocket pick at the high tiers. If you look at her kit, the interesting thing about Kitty Clarissa is she's a lot like Tamarin. So her S3, instead of cleansing debuffs, it decreases debuff duration on all allies by 2 turns, which in most cases is a full cleanse anyway, and it grants her an extra turn. Her S2 attacks all enemies with a 60% chance to decrease buff duration by 2 turns. So again, it's kind of like Tamarin's AoE cleanse. And it also makes them unhealable. And her S1 triggers a dual attack from the ally with the highest attack, again, like Tamarin's S1. So her kit is very similar to Tamarin's. She's pretty fast too, so pretty solid hero. I think she deserves like a solid 6-7 out of 10. Good pocket pick. Horrible 1 out of 10. I don't really know what he does, to be honest. Oxlots, I don't have to talk about this guy, right? Easy 10 out of 10. Busted S2. Best CR pusher in the game. The only one that could maybe fight with him are, well, obviously Athletica is top tier. And for a straight up cleave offense, not RTA, but like Arena, Tywin is pretty solid as well, but Oxlot's probably reigns supreme anyway. He's just really good. 10 out of 10. Fighter Maya, you know, some people sleep on her. This is actually a really good hero. GBG, extremely strong to bait dark heroes. Her S1 actually hits pretty damn hard, and her S3, if you meet that 30% condition, it's an execute. She's gonna kill them if you have her geared. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna give her an 8 out of 10. An 8 out of 10. It seems a little bit high for her, but I do highly value F. Maya and think she's a very strong hero. A. Coli, very similar to Acid, obviously, counter-initiating, but she doesn't remove souls, and I think in RTA, especially, that's a really strong thing to have. Arena defense, it's a really strong thing to have, so I think she pales in comparison to Acid. The one thing that she does have that Acid doesn't have is this stealth for 1 turn. So she can rip apart even bruiser teams if they don't have AoE damage. Even Legend players, I've seen Legend players use her where the other team doesn't have like an SSB or something, and A. Coli just systematically rips them apart 1 by 1. So definitely hits hard, fast. Yeah, solid 8 out of 10, I think. G-Purge, not really used in PvP. You can use them in PvP, though. Against certain comps where they have a lot of AoE, you can force them to hit G-Purge, and his S2 will push your whole team, and it's pretty crazy. His main usage, though, is like speed Wyvern teams and stuff. His S2 passive basically means you could build your DPS with no speed. So I'm going to give him a solid 6 out of 10. PvP not used so much, with PvE pretty damn solid. And PvP, he does still have some niche uses. Troublemaker Crozet. If you have been following my channel since the beginning, you know I love this hero and I plus 14 to him. Objectively, he's not that great, but his S2 is the highest damage mitigation, or the highest Aureus style damage mitigation in the game, 40%. So the most common thing you'll see is Ruel in the back line, with Troublemaker protecting her, basically to make her uncleavable and guarantee the res. And also, he has a high chance to counter people in the back line, so you can also just use him to annoy people with that. I think I can't give him more than a 5 out of 10. I think he's really good overall. Again, he has the same problem as most knights, which is Lilius, Krau, Araz, FCC are just too good. So if you're gonna use TC over those 4 knights, you better have a damn good reason to. Cdom, I freaking love this hero. I have her plus 15. She is a turret, hits like an animal, can one-shot just about anything in the game, and with her S2 passive and her S3, she is a staple in any serious cleaver's arsenal. Synergizes very well with Aloch, Judge Kisei, Athletica. All those big cleave teams are gonna use Cdom. 10 out of 10. Bromon, long-time running joke hero. Now with his recent buff, I believe he used to dispel 1 buff, now he dispels 2, which means you can't shield with FCC anymore. He is a terrorist. He is a terrorist, and he's decently fast, and let me tell you, he shows up in legend tier defenses. A pain in the ass, because if he actually lands that 2-turn silence on your team, it's only 75%, but that's all you need. If he lands it, it can totally destroy you. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. He is popping up in the meta. If you don't believe me, check out Legend Defenses. Crescent Moon Ring. I don't see this hero very much, but I know some Legend players use her as like a counter pick to certain things, because she has this thing where she steals 2 buffs and grants their effects to all allies. So I'm not an expert on this hero. I don't even have her, I think. Yeah, I don't have her, so I don't want to trash her or anything, because I do know that some high-tier players use this occasionally. I'm not really sure what it's meant to counter, though, because I don't know her skills very well. I'll withhold judgment. Sinful Angelica, very good hero. Very good hero because of the way her S2 works. One thing to note that trips some people up, she does not extinct people. When she's immortal, people cannot be revived. As soon as she loses the immortality, they can revive again, so it's not an extinction. But for cleave teams, you usually don't need more than 2 turns to wipe them out anyway. So for cleave teams, she's very strong counter to Arbiter, Bildred, and Ruel. Make sure they don't revive and just sweep them up. I'm going to give her a solid 9 out of 10. T-Surin. Isn't it funny how these like trash heroes from back in the day are making an appearance in the meta? She is everywhere in Legend tier defenses. I can speak from experience. She is absolutely everywhere. She's very annoying because of her S2 passive that makes her not immediately cleavable. I do still think, you can still cleave it. Like, I used to just use Judge Kisei into Cdom into Arbiter, and that will usually deal with her. But the thing is, she doesn't hit that hard, but she hits more than hard enough to one-shot a squishy cleave team, especially since a lot of them are running Alexas. If she procs greater attack in S3s and you're running some kind of Oxlot's cleave, it's going to one-shot that team. And she also has this self-CR push if she has 70% health or less, which lets her turn-cut cleave teams and wipe them out. So, yeah, I gotta give her a 9 out of 10. The problem with her is you can bruise her pretty easily, but usually she's also paired with like Riolet or something to try and mitigate that a little more. Free Spirit Tieria, she was a free hero. I think she's ass. She actually hits pretty hard with the S3. My problem with this hero is that Commander Lorena is way better than her. So you already have a free-to-play hero that can do all the PvE content in the game, because you're not going to use this in PvP. You're just not. But for PvE, she would be pretty solid, except Commander Lorena exists and is better. The main problem with her is her S1 has decreased attack and her S3 has decreased defense. If you've cleared all the endgame PvE content, you know a lot of Abyss Floors and stuff punish debuffs. If you debuff them, you will die. So that's why Commander Lorena is so good in endgame content, because both her S1 and S3 have no debuffs. And if you do have debuffs and, you know, the boss doesn't punish that, you're probably going to have a better 5-star DPS than this. So I just never really saw a reason to use this hero. But she does hit okay. I guess I'll give her like a 2 out of 10 if you're really desperate for a PvE hero. Alright, so I think that's the end of the 4 stars. So, you know, I hope you guys enjoyed my reviews. I hope, you know, you guys learned a little something about some of these heroes. For the ones I didn't know anything about, if you want to put your own ratings in the comments section below and share them with the Dr. Squirrel community, go right ahead. I readily admit that some of these heroes I know nothing about, so if you're a legend player using Blue Coley, tell me all about it. So again, thanks for watching. If you want to call me an asshole, go ahead, leave it in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace out, guys.